She's the author of The Grief Garden Path, and she's a personal recovery coach. She's a founder of Forever Flowers online group, and she's connecting to us from the UK. Please welcome Julie with her story, The Grief Garden Path. The Grief Garden Path, Julie Moore.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you, Misako, for inviting me here tonight. So the name of my story is The Grief Garden Path, and it's basically this little book, and it's really a book of hope. And the reason tonight we're talking about happiness, and you know, really, what I wanted to do with this book was get across that it's possible eventually to find joy again and your life path. So, and also to get across the kind of for people to feel understood when they have lost a loved one, but also that they understand that process and the kind of emotions that they might feel when they do lose somebody that they love. So my story today is really my journey of writing that book, the reasons behind me writing it, and so on. So 3 years ago, I started to get like that itch. So, I mean, any of you here who write or have written books will kind of probably understand what I'm talking about. So with me, I start to kind of like wake up in the night and I start to get words, and I have to creep out the bedroom and try and find the pad of paper. Here it is, you know, find the pad of paper and a pen in hand when I write my books. Because I love that sound of the pen on the page. That's something I really, you know, really like. So my first book that was published in 2012 is called Who Are the Flowers in Your Garden? A coffee table gift book. And the purpose of that book was to more deeply about their lives. People often ask, oh, you must be such a good gardener, Julie, and showing people, but I'm really not good in the garden. I'm getting better, but yeah, you get the drift. So in about 2008, I started using the analogy and the metaphor of life being like a garden. So if you don't look after a garden, what happens to it? You know, who are the flowers, the people in your life, you know, that matter to you? Is there anybody displaying wood-like behaviour life in your garden? You know, so this analogy started to grow, and I started using it in my work, and this book was born. So I write about life in all its technicolor glory, really. But my life changed forever when I entered my own grief garden path, and that was back. I'm going to take you to that place on the 25th of February 2009. I went out. It was a really busy day. I'd travel booked myself. I'd went out the front door, got to my car, the phone rang. And I kind of thought to myself, well, shall I answer the phone or not? And I actually did answer the phone. And there was this nursing sister on the end of the phone. And she said, I'm ringing from Exeter. And I thought, well, I don't need an Exeter. I hadn't got a clue who. I said, I think you might have the wrong number. She said, I'm really sorry, but I don't have the wrong number. I need to tell you that Richard Jones has died. And I just thought, sorry, Richard Jones has died? She said, I'm really sorry to have to tell you. So Richard Jones had been my husband for 17, we'd been together for 17 years. We had 2 amazing daughters together. The best day of my life was actually the day I left him. Ironically And now the worst day was the day that I was going to have to tell our children that they were never going to see their dad alive again, that they were never going to be able to hug him again. They weren't going to have their daddy walk down the aisle when they get married, or when they have children. They won't have their dad there to hold them like he held them. And for that split second, I realized the tears were just like washing my face. But our grief garden path intensified in 2012. The happiness of the book coming out and, you know, the celebration of that was very short-lived, because my husband, Rob, who I'd only married 9 months before, died in my arms on the 8th of November 2012. And that, of course, plunged us into even more grief and what have you. But also, of course, I was, well, not of course, but I was a nurse, I was a midwife, I saw people born, I saw people mourn. And over the 20 years of being a nurse and then becoming a personal recovery coach, I helped people on their journey through life, through difficult times. That's what I do, that's what I specialise in. And I just started to write about this because I had to take about 3 years out of work. I couldn't carry on working. But about 3 years ago, as I say, I started writing and the words just started to flow. I started to ask people their stories with me, and I've got 9 stories in this very tiny book. I've got the loss of a loved baby, the loss of a loved child, the loss of a loved sibling, parent, grandparent, husband, wife, friend, and pet. There's a quote by Voltaire who says, if you speak with your head, you reach their heads. If you speak with your heart, you reach their hearts. But if you speak with your actual life, you reach their lives. And that is what I hope has happened with this book. It was released in the UK in National Grief Awareness Week. It was the very first one of its kind. And the person that wrote the foreword to the book, Linda Magistris, was behind that drive to get grief recognised in the UK as something that needed to be talked about, needed to be brought into the open. And of course, I had absolutely no idea that a global pandemic was going to hit the entire world. And it seems to me ironic, really, that I'm sat here talking to a global audience of people who we've all experienced, you know, similar things, but 400,000 people have now died globally. But that leaves multiple amounts of people more. So it's my goal now is to, you know, hundreds of people have read The Grief Garden Path already, but I really want to reach the goal of reaching 50,000 people with this book, because I know it can help them. So yeah, so that was that. But so if any of you have any contacts that you could help me achieve that would be fantastic. But I just want to leave you with a little happy story. Amy and Polly, my daughters, the 2 most important flowers in my garden, are doing really, really well. And they're both, one's 24, one's 27 now. And they're both doing very well in their lives. And I got married a year ago, and we celebrated our first wedding anniversary in lockdown. So I just wanted to leave you with that happy that happy image, that it is possible to find joy and happiness again after very difficult times. Thank you for listening. Hello.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you very much. And thanks to Julie for sharing heartfelt snippets of her life with us.